Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin in Quebec, where preparations for the Pope's arrival have been underway for well over a week now. Largely done through masses and marches, they were organized and attended by Indigenous groups, and Lindsay Richardson was there.
It normally marks the end of a 9-day pilgrimage, but this year, the St. Anne's Feast, or First Nations Mass, marks the beginning of the Pope's 3-day visit to Quebec. For decades, practicing Catholics have made the trek from their communities to pay homage to St. Anne, but discussions of the Church's residential schools legacy casts a shadow on this year's Mass.
We don't need to be good people to be Christians.
Jack Penishwe is Labrador Innu and a day school survivor, but he understands what people went through at residential schools.
It's almost like if it was a Caucasian children to be removed from that and put in an Indian community or Innu community, people would be furious. People will be out saying, how is it possible that a white Caucasian can live with an Innu people and be removed from his own culture? Like, that's the only way to explain it.
He came with company, his wife, children, and his mother, Elder Nishapet Penishwe, who was happy to hear the Pope's visit would coincide with the Mass she's attended for years. Some, like Yvette Michel, traveled for several days just to be here.
We have been resilient. That shows that a lot of us are still here. We're still surviving. We're still, moving on and carrying on. That's the message that I'm sending to every generation. We're still here. We just got to think, forgiveness and prayer.
And speaking of long journeys, with sore feet and a strong resolve, a group of 13 survivors and supporters from First Nations across Quebec finally made it to Wendake, 275 kilometers from where they started in Mashtayats. They too carry a message, this one for a new generation of Indigenous children who are watching this visit unfold.
Prenez votre place. Je pense que c'est ça que j'ai à dire. Arrêtez pas de rêver.
With his public address now on the books, Pope Francis will deliver Holy Mass at St. Anne de Beaupré Basilica on Thursday morning, in front of thousands of survivors, supporters, and skeptics alike. Lindsay Richardson, APTN National News, Quebec City.
You can see more of our coverage of the Pope's Road to Truth on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/APTN News. For some survivors, blending Indigenous and Christian spirituality has been crucial in their healing journey. And part of that was a pilgrimage to Lac St. Anne. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs has that story.
Thousands of Indigenous believers are participating in the pilgrimage in Lac St. Anne in central Alberta. They're awaiting the arrival of Pope Francis.
Right on.
You have to share those.
These survivors say blending Indigenous and Christian spirituality has been crucial in their healing journey.
When we went to Brazil to see the Pope, I feel that the Spirit of Jesus, because when I Sundance, it brings us to one.
It's also a day of support.
The first thing I did when I came in here was to smudge all parts of me and put some sage in my shoes just to be protected and to give me strength and to guide me.
Known as Lac St. Anne by the Métis, God's Lake by the Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation, and Spirit Lake by the Cree, for generations pilgrims come to wade in the healing waters. For Alberta Métis Nation President Audrey Poitras, she welcomes Pope Francis.
I sat on a committee to talk about where he should come and what, and we did push it because we said this is one of the places that is very important and spiritual to all people. And on regular Lac St. Anne pilgrimage, we get 25,000 people here.
It's a powerful song where it says, Creator, help me. My heart, I have a pain in my heart. And that's a prayer that we're going to do. And we all need healing.
Many here say it's been an emotional week, processing the Pope's apology delivered in Musqueam.
Yesterday, that act, of Chief Wilton Littlechild placing that headdress on the Pope is showing that we are equals, that we are partners. And when we get to the deconstruction of the doctrine of discovery and removal of the papal bulls, this is the start, this is the relationship, and it's going to take time.
In the shrine, Pope Francis wore a Métis sash to the sound of cheers from the crowd.
There may be some that will not accept the apology, but we do, because we were victims of the residential school. It's important that the Pope is here. He's made a commitment to the people, to the Indigenous people of Canada, and he's fulfilling his commitment. And I'm glad that we're here to see him and be with him today.
The pilgrimage to Lac St. Anne is the final stop for the Alberta portion of the papal visit in Canada. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Lac St. Anne.
Pope Francis left Edmonton this morning to continue his tour to Quebec City. Tina House and our APTN News team covered the historic apology in Alberta, and Tina joins us now. Tina, great to have you with us. You must be packing up after a fairly busy couple of days. What are your biggest takeaways from the Pope's visit so far?
It's been an incredible journey, Dennis. I mean, all the way from Rome back in late March to here we are in Edmonton now, just a few months later. Just meeting the thousands and thousands of people that have come here to find their own path of healing. I met a woman yesterday from Nunavut, and she told me that the moment that he apologized and said sorry, she said she felt all her anger and sadness leave her body. And those were her exact words. And she said she felt a sense of peace come over her. And I was very moved by those words because, everybody's had their own different takeaway from this. I mean, many people aren't ready to forgive yet, but others are really embracing the fact that he did travel here in frail condition with his health and made an effort to truly offer his sincere apologies and ask for forgiveness in such a way that has never been seen before.
Really loved that interview with the survivor from Nunavut. You have a lot of close relationships with survivors of residential schools. What have you been hearing from them?
Well, some aren't ready to forgive yet. I think that it was quite shocking for many people, and we've certainly seen the outrage online with the presentation of the headdress by Grand Chief Willie Littlechild to the Pope. But others are saying, you know what, it's time that we move forward. I think that was a grand gesture on behalf of Indigenous people here in Canada to say, let's make a new relationship happen. Let's make a new beginning. This is by no means the end. And I think that, it's a real opportunity from what I've heard to really start fresh and really begin healing in this country.
Well, what are people saying should happen after this week?
Well, what I've heard over and over and over again is the revoking of the doctrine of discovery. I think that is something that is a huge problem for many people because really that's where this all began. I think that, healing, the healing fund needs to be established. I mean, yes, they were supposed to have that $30 million fund available for residential school survivors to begin healing because of the trauma. But then we found out at a press conference in Italy that, in fact, the Catholic Church was asking their parishioners to donate towards that healing fund. But yet they spent over $350 million renovating their churches just last year. So now that they're actually finding the funds to come forward with that, why wasn't that done in the beginning? I mean, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission wrapped up years ago. Why has it taken this long for them to finally pay towards healing what was, in a sense, genocide towards our people?
Well, Tina, a huge thanks to you and the whole team in Edmonton as we now shift to our colleagues in Quebec for our coverage. Safe journey home for you.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Nice to see you.
Quebec City isn't the Pope's last stop in Canada. Our Kent Driscoll is at the very spot in Iqaluit where the Pope will meet the people on Friday. Kent, how are preparations coming along?
Thanks. I'm here at the Nakashuk School in Iqaluit, Nunavut, where Pope Francis will be appearing on Friday. Now, as you can see, the preparations are quite well underway here at the school. This is the temporary stage that they built for the pontiff. He'll be landing here at 4:15 Eastern time on Friday, and by 6:15 Eastern, he'll be back on a plane to Rome. Now, they've brought in extra mental health workers for this event, about 40 of them. And that's a significant number for Nunavut. Nunavut territory only has about 60 mental health workers territory-wide. So an additional 40, that's a significant amount. Now, as for the expected response, NTI President Aluki Kutrik, she was in Edmonton for the Pope's recent appearance and was not entirely satisfied with what she heard. She stated that sorry wasn't enough and it was just a first step. So we'll have to wait until Friday to see what the Pope has to say here, and we'll be right here when he does it. Back to you in Winnipeg.
Thanks, Kent. Good luck with those timelines you've been provided. And as this papal tour continues, the National Indian Residential School Crisis Line is available for survivors and others who might need support. That number is 1-866-925-4419. Time to take a quick break. Coming up, we continue our exclusive series on the so-called devil priest. Stick around. Welcome back. Canada may have missed the chance to have Father Revoir tried for sexual assault. The so-called devil priest currently lives in Lyon, France. And as a French lawyer explains, the statute of limitations has expired in that country. Brittany Guillot has more.
In Canada, there is no statute of limitations for sex crimes. But what happens when an alleged abuser leaves the country before standing trial? Former Oblate priest Joanne Revoir is accused of sexually abusing 6 Inuit children before leaving Nunavut for France. And he is now the subject of a Canada-wide arrest warrant. French lawyer Nadia Debache says the process of extradition back to Canada is complicated. She says French authorities could hold a trial in France for charges laid abroad. That's because France won't extradite their citizens.
Aujourd'hui, la situation est que pour les crimes sexuels concernant les enfants, le délai de prescription est de 30 ans à compter de la majorité. Et pour les délits, il est de 20 ans à compter de la majorité.
Debache says the process has been further complicated by the statute of limitations. In France, a felony is for serious crimes such as rape, and inappropriate touching would warrant a misdemeanor charge.
S'il y a par exemple 2 victimes, la première victime se manifeste, dépose plainte, et 10 ans après, il y a une deuxième victime qui se manifeste, et bien le délai de prescription commence à courir non pas pour la première victime, non pas au moment où elle a déposé plainte, mais à partir de la deuxième plainte, de la deuxième victime.
That means the statute of limitations would expire at the age of 48 for crimes such as rape. Revoir's most recent accuser is now 51 years old. Debache says French law has changed to allow more time for victims to come forward.
Je pense parce qu'ils se sont rendus compte qu'effectivement, pour les victimes d'abus sexuels, c'était extrêmement difficile de pouvoir parler. Parce que souvent, ces abus sexuels sont commis au sein de la famille, au sein d'institutions. Et c'est extrêmement compliqué pour des enfants de pouvoir dire ce qu'ils ont vécu. Les victimes expliquent de plus en plus les mécanismes qui ont fait qu'elles n'ont pas pu parler, qu'elles ont été bloquées dans le silence. Et du coup, ça permet de mieux comprendre les choses et de aussi aller dans le sens de permettre aux victimes de pouvoir prendre le temps de voir sanctionner les auteurs de ces faits.
Brittany Guillot, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Revoir denies all the allegations against him. Now, Justice Canada has just confirmed with APTN News that an extradition request was made to France with respect to Revoir. The request was made by the Public Prosecution Service of Canada through Department of Justice officials. They say that in order to respect the integrity of the process, they will not be commenting any further. To Saskatoon, where police are now asking for any video or dash cam footage that might help in their investigation into the disappearance of 48-year-old Dawn Walker and her 7-year-old son, Vincent. Last night, the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations held a candlelight vigil for Walker, who is the FSIN's Executive Operating Officer. She's also written 4 books and ran for the Federal Liberals in 2021. Walker is also a well-known MMIW advocate in Saskatoon. FSIN Vice Chief Heather Bear asked for a thorough investigation of the circumstances surrounding Walker's disappearance.
She wasn't, and she isn't immune from our women going missing each and every day. That just saddens me. How hard she works for the people. And if anybody says, why are we making so much attention on this because it's Dawn Walker? Because let me put the record straight. Dawn Walker fought each and every day and every month for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, men and boys.
Still to come, we'll speak with former APTN News Director Dan David about the papal visit. Stick around. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Here's a shot of English Bay in Vancouver sent in by Bear Blackhorse. Thanks, Bear. You can email your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 28 in Halifax, 22 in St. John's. 20 for Kuujjuaq, 15 in Nain. Showers and 27 in Montreal, rain and 22 in Val-d'Or. Rain and 20 for Sault Ste. Marie, partly cloudy and 28 in North Bay. Showers and 23 in Thunder Bay, rain and 19 in Sioux Lookout. 16 with rain for God's Lake and Norway House. 18 with showers for Winnipeg, 1 degree warmer and rain in Dauphin. Sunny and 24 for Saskatoon, 26 with the sun out in North Battleford. Sunny and 23 in Meadow Lake and La Ronge. In northern Alberta, 33 for Peace River, 31 in Grand Prairie. 28 with showers in Edmonton, 29 in Lethbridge. 39 for Penticton, 38 in Kamloops. 31 in Prince George, sunny and 32 in Smithers. 18 and cloudy in Old Crow, showers and 16 for Whitehorse. Cloudy and 19 in Yellowknife, showers and 19 in Norman Wells. 6 for Sax Harbor, 15 in Paulatuck. 23 in Whale Cove, 21 in Arviette. 8 in Resolute, sunny and 7 in Arctic Bay. Back to the papal visit now. Dan David is an award-winning journalist and former director of APTN National News. He wrote an op-ed piece for the National Observer on what the media should cover during the papal visit, and Dan joins us now. Dan, great to have you with us. Just for starters, I guess, what are your thoughts so far on what you've seen this week with the papal visit?
I was actually quite focused on the media coverage more than anything else. I wasn't following what the Pope was saying that much because I fully expected him not to go much further than his Rome statement. So I was watching the media and its coverage.
You wrote an opinion piece for the National Observer called Beyond the Pomp and Ceremony, what we should be asking of the Catholic Church. So what should we be asking?
Well, I think we should stop treating the Roman Catholic Church like some kind of other untouchable organization. and start asking some really hard questions. I watched CTV National News the other night, and the top two stories were, of course, the Pope landing in Edmonton. And the next story was Parliamentary Committee grilling Hockey Canada about covering up sexual violence against women. And I thought that's where we should really put the Roman Catholic Church. I wish that, a parliamentary committee would actually do something like that when an issue like this comes up, and it's such an important national issue. But they wouldn't touch the Roman Catholic Church or any church with a 10-foot pole because it's just too politically sensitive. But they should be asking questions. Shouldn't be left up to the victims to be pushing it through the courts.
The Pope so far did not mention sexual abuse, repealing the doctrine of discovery, or even recognize the Church's role in devising the residential school system in concert with the government. Has this all been disappointing for you?
No, I think I expected that. I think I'm a cynical journalist, right? And so I'm not expecting too much out of them. And like I said before, I think a large part of the problem is we're not asking them. We're not pushing the bishops to get in front of the camera. We're not shoving microphones in their faces and asking them tough questions. And so they're just simply, doing a little parade up there onto the podium, making a speech, obviously very carefully scripted. They deliver it and they leave without any kind of questions. It's all left up to the media then to go look at the victims. And I think that that's a huge problem because we've heard those stories over and over and over and over again. It's almost gotten to the point where it's like trauma porn for the Canadian public, for entertainment almost. It's pretty bad.
I know there's 700 plus journalists that were signed up to cover this thing, but I don't know what type of access they're being given. I can only imagine. Dan, we're only maybe halfway through this trip. Anything you're going to be watching for the rest of the week, the rest of this visit?
Well, I'm going to be watching whether or not anybody actually puts the Roman Catholic Church on the spot and asks them what they expect to get out of it. Instead of asking the victims, the survivors, what do you hope to get out of the Pope's statement? I'd like to see the church being asked, what do they expect to get out of it? More importantly, why? Why have they come here? It's 20 years, their second visit ever. And what do they hope to get out of it?
Great points as always, Dan. Appreciate you taking some time. Go check out Dan's latest article there on the National Observer. Dan, appreciate you taking some time for us.
No problem. Take care.
That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Wednesday. For much more, you can visit our website, aptnnews.ca. And you can catch the Pope speaking in Quebec right now by heading over to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/APTN News. And I can tell you Governor General Mary Simon is just speaking right now. And of course, we'll have much more on that all here tomorrow. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.